Uh-oh. What's the first vowel in uh-oh? Which one? The in what word? Truck. Yep, the upside down B. Or the carrot. Sometimes it's called carrot. Sometimes it's called wedge. Okay, so well, we've got an O. This is a weird, because we say uh-oh. And there's actually a clue in how we spell it. If you take a look at the consonants, we spell this with an H, but it's not a huh. It's not, we're not pushing any air out. What are we doing when we make this? Uh-oh. What are we doing with the air? We're stopping it. Do we have a glottal stop anywhere that we use? Take a look on the IPA symbol on the front, and if you look down under the notes, this is the same sound that we use in Batman. Uh-oh. We stop the air in our throat. It's a glottal stop, and we write it with, it looks like a question mark, but it doesn't have a dot at the bottom. And we stop the air in our throat. So we do this with Batman, and uh-oh, uh-oh, you can literally feel the air stopping right in your throat. So that's and then O, which we write with the symbol O. Yeah, it's not that one. And depending on how you say it, if you say uh-oh, then that would be a lengthened vowel. If you say uh-oh or uh-oh, and then you stop the air again, you could put another glottal stop there in the end if you thought you needed one. Depends on how you say uh-oh. And what about this one? I see lots of different, there are a couple different ways that I say this. If I'm being really formal, I actually use the d sound. But if I'm more relaxed, I might use a different sound. J, right? Dream. Dream. So which way do you say it? Dream, dream with a d or with a j? Dream. So what sound is that? What's the j? What, can you describe it for me? J. Huh? The D3. Okay, so we're going to start working on practicing calling. So that is a voiced, palatal, what? African. The voiced palatal African. Okay. D3. Right? J. Okay. J. Okay, what's the next sound? Huh? R. And that is a voiced palatal liquid. Okay? Okay? Drip. Okay, that says drip. And now what's our next sound? E. E, that high closed front vowel, right? E. Dree. That's dree. What's our final phoneme? Which is what? A voiced, bilabial, nasal. Okay, good. Dream. Although you could also say it dream, and that would be fine too. Those occur in free variation, meaning that the same person might say it both ways. It just depends on the context. Dream and dream. The reason people, now, here's just an interesting note. The reason people say dream like this, like the first one we did with the African, because that's a palatal sound, and the right after it is also palatal, so people are getting ready to say the sound, so they actually pull the duh sound towards the sound, and it turns it into j. That's why that happens. It's an environmental effect. That's a ligature. It's meant to show that I'm not writing two separate sounds, but that I'm representing this as a single symbol.
On the quiz, are we gonna have this or?
On the quiz, you can make a note card and put whatever you want on it. Put whatever you want on the note card, whatever you think you need for the symbols. Okay. All right. Superman. So, okay, what's that? That's a voiceless, alveolar, fricative, okay? All right. And then the next one, ooh, sue. That's a high, close, back vowel. Ooh, high, close, back vowel. Sue, okay? What's next? A bilabial stop, okay, which one? The voiceless bilabial stop, okay? Okay, good. Soup, we've got the soup, okay? What's the next sound? Super, it's that sound. A near close center vowel, okay? So we would say it's a high, near close center vowel. That upside down E with a thing, with a tail. Super. So we've got the Now we need, what's next? Bilabial nasal, okay, bilabial nasal. Okay, super. Next, a middle near open front vowel, right here. Superman, this is the A-E symbol, kind of looks like A-E smushed together. Superman. And lastly, what's our last phoneme? A voiced, alveolar, nasal. Good. Superman. No, you're supposed to ask questions. That's why we're doing it. This particular vowel right here, if you look at that vowel, it's called a rhotic vowel, and it's a vowel that actually has where we kind of smush the E and the E sound and the R sound together, and we produce it as a single sound. So it's not r, it's So we actually make it sound like it's like an ER sound squished together, and we write it with that little tail to show that it's an with a round R sound on the end. All right, next one. Catwoman. All right, what's cut? Feeler. Stop. Okay, good. All right. Next. Cat. Cat.
A near open middle front.
Yep, near open middle front vowel. Or middle near open front vowel. I'll take either one of those. Okay, now the question here for the next phoneme is, do we say cat woman or do we say cat woman? Like we say Batman.
The second one.
The second one?
Yes.
We don't say cat woman with a t. You do? You do? All right, if you do, then what will you put? What sound will you put next if you say cat woman? The t, which is what? A voiceless alveolar stop, right. So that's what you'll put. We can put it, so we can do that. You can say cat, okay? Cat, we're being very formal, cat woman, because you know, she's like that. She's cat, she's very formal. Cat, cat, and now woman. What's the first sound in woman? Woman. Woman. Voiced by labial glide. Cat. W. Now. Cat. W. And high, near close back vowel. Yeah, that word. Or a near close high back vowel. Okay, so cat. Whoop. Cat whoop. Cat woman. Cat woman. Woman. We're kind of saying mun, right? Woman. Mun. So what's the next sound? Voiced bilabial nasal. Okay? Cat woman. Near open front, middle. So near open front middle would be like cat. Woman. You're saying woman. Woman. You say cat woman. That would be the cat woman. That's what it looks like, but that's not what we say. We say cat woman. We're saying, say it again, the center, high, near, close, the it's not center, near, open, middle, we think. Okay, so it's a near, open, middle, center, but the in truck, is that what we're going for? Yeah. Woman, cat, woman. So yeah, we could say it with that one.
So it can't be the middle, open mid front?
The open mid front. Wait,
Then back like 3.
So at the open mid front, the middle open mid front vowel, the like cat woman, cat woman, cat woman, cat woman, cat woman. That's how if you have that woman, men. That would be the vowel that I have in the plural of man. Men, cat woman. Do you say cat woman? No. What do you say? Woman. Which is the in truck. So it's like that. We might also do this one. If you don't do that formal T, we might do it like this. Cat with that glottal stop in there. Cat. Or you don't actually say t, you say cat. And then we have, and some people might say cat woman. You could also get that I sound in there, cat woman. Some people say it that way. That would be, this would be cat woman. So there's lots of different things you could get here. There are different things you could get there. And that's okay. The point is that you're supposed to listen carefully to how you say it and transcribe what you say. And as long as you write what you really say, it's right.
Is that gonna get points deducted on the test or the quiz? Like, say you say it one way, but we say it another.
So here's what happens. If I will read what you wrote, and I literally sit there and I read it out loud so that I can hear what you said. And if it sounds like a way that somebody would actually say it, then I'll go, okay, that's fine. Even if it's different than how I say it, because all of you come from different linguistic backgrounds than me, which means that your vowels might be a little bit different. Vowels are the way that we distinguish our dialects more than any other way. More than our consonants, we distinguish them through our vowels. So if I can hear it and go, yeah, that sounds like a way some American speaker would say it, then it's fine. If I think, no. Nobody would say, for example, if you wrote Catwoman, I would be like, no. Nobody actually says the last vowel in there as man. It's never Catwoman, ever. I would go, yeah, I'm thinking that vowel's not the right vowel. You need an I or an E or an something softer than ah. Because nobody puts ah in there. It's what it looks like when you think about the spelling. When you think about how you would say the word man, that's the vowel that would go in there. but that's not the vowel you're making. So you want to transcribe whatever vowel you really make in that spot. And if I say I read it out and I'm like, no, that's totally not how anybody would say it. And you look at it and you go, no, I think that's really how I say it. Then all you have to do is come up to me and say, I really say it this way, listen. And then say it. And I'll listen. And if it sounds like you're actually really transcribing the vowel that you said, and you really do say it that way, then it's right. I'm not being prescriptive in this case. I'm being descriptive. So you're supposed to describe what you really do, not what you think I want you to do. So that, and this is important because if you're a non-native speaker, if you have an accent or something like that, write it the way you say it, and it's right. Your accent is relevant. Transcribe it as best you can given the way you actually say it, and it's fine. You can't get it wrong if you write what you really said. Or even if you get close and it's a way that somebody else would say it, that's also fine. Okay, now I've had people try to convince me they'll write something that is just pretty clearly wrong, and they'll come up and try and say it the way they transcribed it, and it sounds ridiculous. And I'm like, say that 5 times, and they can't do it. And then I'm like, yeah, that's not how you really say it, and I'm not giving you the points back for that, because you don't really say psychology or something like that. You don't really say that. So you're like, psychology. I'm majoring in psychology. I'm like, no, that's not how you actually say it. Okay. Okay. University. It's unstressful. Okay. University. A voiced palatal glide. Yeah. Okay? Yeah. Right? What's next? You. High close back, right? Ooh. Okay, you.
Do you also make that a diphthong?
Could you also make the diphthong? So this could all,
That,
yeah,
yeah.
you could say you like that. Yeah, both of those are fine. Either one of them. Alveolar, nasal, okay. Now here, unit, which one? Una? Is it it, or up?
It.
Huh? Huh? Okay, now here's the things that we might not agree. This is one of those vowels that's going to be a lot of variation. Yeah.
You say university or university?
Unit. So there's a n. We've got that nasal in there. So, but I've heard people say university with the truck, right? I've heard people say university, the it, like in trick. University, like in vet. So I take any of those. You know, huh? You know, truck. You got the truck. You know. Or since it happens to be unstressed, you can put the upside down schwa. You know. Yes.
So with like the stress and unstress on the quiz, are we supposed to know the difference?
It's something you'll get. You'll need to be able to read it, but if as long as you put the major form, which is the form that appears in the chart, it's fine. So, for example, on the quiz, if you wrote the word writer, like I am a professional writer, and you wrote that with the voiceless alveolar stop instead of the flap that looks like an R without a tag on it. If you wrote writer with the little flap instead of the tip, I would still count it right because that's the overlying form, so that would be okay. So if you, anything that shows up in the notes You don't have to do that. If you do, it just is more, it's just taking it to the next level. So you don't have to know the difference between the wedge and the schwa, because if you're not good at hearing stress, that's going to be hard. As long as you're getting the wedge, I'm okay with that. If you get the t in writer and you put t in there, that would be okay. If you realize that it's not actually a full t and it's actually that flap, and you put the flap in, that makes me even happier, but that's taking it to another level. So anything in the notes, you don't have to do. Anything in the actual chart, you have to at least get the right sound from the chart. Does that work? And when we read transcription, you're going to see the schwa and the flap and the glottal stop and things like that, and you need to know what they sound like. You need to be able to recognize them, because people use them a lot in transcription. Okay, so we have una. What's the next sound? Which is a voice, labiodental, fricative. Okay. Una. Okay. And next, what's our next? The next we have a vowel. Univer. The E with the wings. The E with the wing, right? Or the tail. The near, close, high, center vowel, right? Okay. Univer. What's next? Which is what? A voiceless, alveolar, fricative. Okay. Universe. So is it I or eh? It, like it? Is it like it, like in it, or eh, like in excellent? What do you think?
I used to think that sounds like
Huh? What do you think? Which one? The near close, high, near front. The capital I. That's what you hear, the capital I. Okay. I could also hear. I could see somebody also doing this with an open middle front vowel. Eh. Either one of those would work for me. Can anybody get another vowel? Do any other vowels work in that spot for you? University. University. Does anybody say university? University. University. So that it rhymes with slutty. University. Slutty. No?
I've actually heard somebody say it like that, but I didn't know if it was just maybe for
You've heard somebody say it like that, but it struck you as a little bit weird that they said it
Yeah.
like that? Okay. So I think, for me, it's either it or eh, either one of those. So put whichever one in there you like best. For me, I think I say it most often with the it. Okay? University. Okay? That's a voiceless? Voiceless alveolar stop, okay? So I could, university, that's if we're saying university. So if you say university, you've got the flap, which is the thing that looks like an R, looks like this. That's the first one, the first note on the front page you see it has, in a voiced alveolar flap, that's an allophone of t and d, and often occurs between vowels as in water and writer. So you've got that flap. So either one of those would be fine. Okay, so t or the flap, that's an allophone of t. All right, and what about the last vowel?
E.
E, which is what? Close, high, front vowel. The E in please, right? University. University.
So we wouldn't put the I in the last one? The last I.
Which one?
Yeah, the last one.
This one? Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
If you didn't put what? University, you need the vowel, because this is just t.
Okay, gotcha.
If you didn't put the vowel there, you would be writing university.
Okay.
So you have to have a vowel there. University. All right. Linguistics. Oh, geez. Linguistics. La. La 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 la. A voiced alveolar liquid. Okay. La. We're good on the first sound. La. Ling. Ling. Lit. It.
See, you said different than I did. You say lean and I say lean.
Ling. You say ling. Linguistics. Okay, that's fine. Because again, those are it and often occur in the same spot. It just depends people's background and stuff like that. So that's totally fine. So linguistics. Linguistics. Which one do you have? It, put the one in there that you have. It, I have linguistics. Linguistics. Some people might even have E, linguistics. Linguistics, yeah. The voiced velar nasal next. Yes, that's perfect, in fact. This is, it's the, we think of it as the NG sound. When you squish N and G together like in ing, king, this is the, it's a velar nasal. And if you make it, if you say king, and just think about what's happening in your mouth when you make that final sound, your tongue is pushed up against your soft palate, and you're letting the air come out through your nose. Ing, no. You don't ever have it at the beginning of words, you have it at the end of words. Okay. Ling. All right, what's next? Ling. Well, we have ling. Now, if we go for the voiceless, if we go for the glide right now, we're going to be saying linguistics. Linguistics. You say linguistics? Okay. So if you don't have another sound in here, if you go straight from the ng to the w, then go ahead and write that. I don't. I have another phoneme in here. I say linguistics. I have a g in there first. Linguistics. I have wi, not wi, in that spot. So whichever one you have, put that in there. Yeah.
So like if I have NG instead of
That would be,
voice,
okay, so if you had NG in there,
like I said, linguistics.
Lin, so you're saying you want like that?
Yes, and then I go straight to W. Is that what that
Like that?
makes sense? Yes.
Something like that?
Yes.
So that would be linguistics, and some people do say it that way.
Okay.
Yeah, linguistics. And if you really say linguistics, then yes, that's fine. Yeah.
So the G sound is not included in the like.
No, this one is ing, but I say linguistics. So I actually put the g on there too. So it's actually quite easy to make right after that. Linguistics. And what you do is you stop the air going through the nose and you push it back through the mouth, and it makes a g sound because they're both voiced stops made at the velum. So it's not hard to make them right next to each other. All you do is shut the airflow off from the nose and send it back through the mouth, and all of a sudden you've got linguistics. But some people say linguistics, they don't have the g. Some people say linguistics, and that's also fine. Any of those are fine. Yeah, those are all legitimate variations of this word. The important thing is, write what you say. Be descriptive. Okay. So ling, I'm going to do it my way because I'm the professor and I'm writing it down. Uh-oh. You killed it. Video. What a video. DVD. What is that for? Okay, back. All right. So ling. I have a g here. Linguit. Linguit. Wit. I have wit. Linguit. Are you with me so far?
Yes.
Linguit. Okay, what's next? Linguist. That voiceless, alveolar fricative. Linguist. Okay?
It's
Linguist. That voiceless alveolar stop. Linguist. My job. Linguist. Okay, linguistic. It. We have it. Okay. Linguistic. Voiceless velar stop. Okay. Linguistics. Voiceless alveolar stop. Dang, you guys are so smart. Isn't it amazing that you figured all this stuff out when you were like 2? The problem is that you forgot all the stuff you know. Now we gotta remind you. All right, linguistics. Good job. Oh, here's the one. Here's one. Everybody's gonna get perfect, right? Psychology. With all the letters that are totally not what they sound like. All right.
Alveolar
Voiceless alveolar fricative. Yeah, the first sound is definitely not puff. Despite the lovely Greek spelling, the first sound is definitely not puff. I've had people try to convince me that it was because they wrote it with a P. And I'm like, no. You don't say psychology. All right. Sigh. What is that?
The AI.
The AI diphthong thing? This one? A-I, like that. Or some people might say it with this one, sigh, or sigh. Either one is fine.
Okay.
Either one works. That's, put those right next to each other on the diphthongs because people go back and forth between the two of them depending on what's around it.
Is there a difference between those two?
Between what they sound like, one is I and one is I.
Which is
I. It's a very small difference. It's just the difference between the front. If you look on the chart, it's the difference between making one vowel a high front vowel or a high near front vowel. All I do is move my tongue back a little bit. It's the difference between beat and bit. That's the difference in the second vowel, between beat and bit. And those are definitely 2 different vowels for us. They make 2 different words. Because if I say sheet, that's not a cuss word. If I say shit, it is. So definitely an important distinction between moving your tongue back a tiny bit in the front of your mouth. Yeah?
I don't know if this is important, but with the font, there are no, like, the letter A that you drew. Like, they're all the open, low, front A's. Like, as in the diphthongs for the AI. They all look like that. Does that matter? Or
The diphthongs for the AI all look like this,
yes,
as opposed to like this.
correct.
Yeah, technically it should be this one, but if you write that, we don't have that symbol anywhere else in American English, so if you use it, it's a common way to write the letter A. I will understand that that's what you mean in this case. If you want to be technical, that symbol is actually used for a back vowel, but I won't come after you for that. But I prefer that you write it this way.
Okay.
I prefer that you write it that way. I will try to be as flexible as I can. If we get to a place where I'm like, no, you just can't write it that way, I'll let you know. Okay, sigh. Sigh. Voiceless velar. Stop. Psych. 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 Ah. Ah.
Middle back.
Ah. Some people have the
Like the backwards C there.
You put the backward C there, so some people have the backward C. As in caught.
So I got
Some people have the in box.
Yeah, the little different.
So either one of those is totally normal. Like this. Or the that backward C, the in box, both of those are totally fine there. Yeah.
Can you put the near open center middle? Or the middle near open center?
The middle, the psychology. Psychology. Is that psychology? Does it sound right when you say it that way? Psychology? Do you say psychology? That would be the truck sound. Psychology. Maybe if you you are talking really fast. What are you majoring in? Psychology. Maybe. But I really want an ah or an aw in there. Feels like ah or aw.
What's the difference in toxic?
And caught. In some dialects of American English, there's no difference. But if you say the two separately, I'll try and do this. I don't have the second one naturally in my dialect, so I have to kind of work at it. The first one, ah, like in box. The second one is aw, like in caught. Aw. Aw. Yeah, it's a back vowel where the other one's front vowel. Ah versus aw. Ah. I have box. I have box, not caught. Okay. So we have psychop. Oh, that alveolar liquid. Psychol. Now, I can get a bunch of different things here. Psychology, psychology, psychology. I can get any of those.
I did a
The upside down be the wedge. Psychology, like the in truck. I could also get ed, like in vet. Psychology.
what about close, mid, high, back? The O.
Psychology. Psychology. I don't think I can get psychology. Ology. That's on box. We write it with an O, but we say it like even though we write box with an O too. It doesn't have an O in it. It's not box. Box. I'm telling you, English spelling is evil. It's completely messed with your brain. We're like, every letter sounds like every sound. We don't care. Just random. Totally arbitrary. Okay, I have I have this one. I have psychology most of the time. Psychology. But I would also take I would also take I won't take O. It's not psychology. I don't know anybody who actually says psychology.
Someone's out there.
Someone out there is going to do it, and they're going to say it like that just so they can get that one right on my desk. All right, psychology. Okay. All right, psychology. Or, no, wait, psychology. She kept just like, no, we're actually having class in here. That's cool, though. If you want to come in, you can learn all about IPA. Psychology.
It's got that just
The just sound. Okay, so that's the
the
voice,
plagal,
palatal,
palatal,
affricate. This one, right? Also affectionately known as D3. Right? Yes.
Okay, so I say psychology.
You say psychology? You really say psychology?
Am I saying it wrong? Psychology?
Psychola.
Am I not doing that sound now?
Sorry, I have to get closer so I can hear you better. Say it again.
Psychology.
You are really putting the O in there.
Psychology.
Say it again.
Psychology. Psychology.
You're the first person I've ever heard who actually puts an O in there.
I couldn't figure out what other letter I was using.
Well, okay, you're absolutely right. You're here. You actually put an O in there. I've never heard anybody who did that. So there you go. There you go. It's right. Right. No. That. Does everybody in here understand what she just said?
Yeah.
Okay, then you're good. Descriptive grammar for the win. Yes. Okay, so we're good so far. So now we've got the j.
Thank you.
See? Is it good? No. Please do ask. If you're like, no, I really think I said it that way, I'll be like, okay. I'm good with that. Okay, so psychology. Now we have, our last sound is E as in please, right? Which of course is written not with the letter E, but with an I.
It looks nothing like the word.
Right? Psychology.
Psychology. Actually, it looks exactly like the word. That's the problem, is that this looks nothing like what it actually sounds like. Psychology. Doesn't look at it. What's up with that spelling? I mean, seriously, that's a mess. All right, here's one where all the, yeah, question?
Aesthetically, why not JU?
Huh?
Why not a palatal glide voice?
Why not a palatal glide? Yup. Where?
Instead
Psychology.
of deeply,
Instead of what?
why not?
Psychology. That would be psychology, which there are probably languages that would say it that way. Psychology. If you said psychology, and I bet there will be accents where they don't have a j, where they would put the palatal glide in there. Absolutely. Psychology. Yeah. So that may be how you say it. If that's how you say it, put it in there. Psychology. I like that. That's good. Huh? It sounds European. Fancy. Sounds very fancy. Okay, Atlanta. Atlanta. Do not write A-town down. That's not all right. Atlanta.
Isn't the middle there open
At
front?
middle near open front. Yeah, here, middle, open, mid, front. Yeah, I hear. So some people have at. They say Atlanta. Atlanta. Some people say Atlanta. Some people say Atlanta. Some people say.
I think it's about how fast you say it.
It's about how fast you say it. Okay, who's born and raised here? Anybody born and raised here in Atlanta? All right, we have two native Atlantans who are going to tell us how we should say this word. How do you say it?
I say it different ways depending on like the way how fast I'm saying it. But
Okay, so if I just said, read that word for me, what would you say?
Atlanta.
Atlanta. How would you say it? Atlanta. Okay. Now here's what's interesting. So we got at. That's the Batman at, right?
Yeah.
At. Okay. This one. At. Now, do you say Atlanta? Do you say Atlanta? Atlanta. Atlanta. Are there actually any T's in there at all?
No.
Atlanta. There aren't any. It's at with the glottal stop. At, like Batman. At, l, and then the same vowel. Atlanta. Is it the same vowel? Atlanta. Same vowel?
Yeah.
All right. Native Atlantans. Atlant. And then there's no t. It's Atlanta. Atlanta.
From Atlanta.
Atlanta. You're from Atlanta. Where are you from? Atlanta. If you're from here, you say you're from Atlanta, Georgia, right? You say Atlanta. If you said, oh, yes, I live in Atlanta. You're like, transplant, right? You're clearly not from there. Atlanta. Okay? So I don't even have Atlanta. I don't have a t in there. Do you have a t in there? Atlanta. What's our last vowel? This one? Atlanta. Oh, I love that. Atlanta with no T's at all.
Why do you have a T in
Huh?
Persians say
Atlanta?
Atlanta.
Atlanta. Oh, all right. You're Persian. Now you know. Now you know how to say it. Atlanta. I live in Atlanta. So we can sound Persian. We'll practice. Atlanta. I like it. All
That's
right.
how you know people's not from an area.